What do we actually know about Doors lore? Unlike Pressure, Doors is very obscure and mysterious when it comes to finding out what is actually going on in its universe, and while many people across the community have their theories, they are just that. So what can we actually confirm about what's happening around us when we are traversing this very odd hotel with weird monsters trying to stop us? Well, let's just start with our surroundings. When we load in, we are greeted with a comfortable, welcoming hotel, and it seems like we're just getting ready to enjoy our stay on vacation, with nothing but a nice hallway with elevators on each side, with the fireplace at the end of the corridor. Though, when we walk outside, it's understood that this couldn't be further from the truth. The comforting music that we're hearing switches to something more curious. We see that this hotel is located in a rather celestial space on a raised platform with floating pieces of the ground encompassing the grounds of which the hotel is built on, with nothing but water in its surroundings. It's not heaven, and it's not hell, but that's all that can be gathered from here. We've been put here for a reason, but it's nowhere near clear as to why. As we exit the elevator, we are faced with a reception desk with luggage rollers and other various hotel-y things. The room has seemingly been disorganized, which tells us there were people here before us. Though, if you're watching this, it's likely that you already know the drill when traversing the hotel, and have seen many of the rooms. You start to question, were there once tons of people that filled these empty bedrooms? And we still don't know. And as you open the next door, the lights flicker, and you encounter your first real danger, Rush. It charges through the rooms behind you, breaking every light it passes by, emitting a noise that can only be described as loud and terrifying. As far as the community knows, and from what can be observed in-game, this entity has no clear motives and is not associated with any other of the entities present in the hotel. Though, there are theories that suggest he comes from Seek, splitting off from his mask and becoming its own self. I personally believe that this may be plausible, though this proposal is widely seen as far-fetched by the community. I suppose we should bring up Ambush as well, another entity that behaves similar to Rush, flickering lights before it attacks, though this one bounces back and forth 2 to 4 times before despawning. And unfortunately, we also know nothing about its motives or who it could be associated with. So you've successfully evaded Rush, but the rooms it's run through are pitch black. You hear something. Pfft. A rather tiny but dangerous creature. If you don't look at it, it screams and bites you, but it can't attack without the element of surprise. Looking at it before it attacks will cause it to screech and flee. We'll talk about this goo-covered creature later. As you walk further down the rooms and corridors, eyes appear on almost every surface around you, the crescendo to something big. What is watching you? Why is it watching you? These eyes continue to appear into the next few rooms you walk through until you are met with a long hallway with windows on each side. It's as if nothing had ever even happened. And when you're almost near the end, a cutscene plays and the creature that was watching you emerges out of the ground in this ink-looking liquid. And then the chase sequence starts. This is Seek, the seemingly main antagonist of the game, and its only goal is to kill you. But its will might not be its own. Here's where things get a little more interesting. Now that we've made it to the Seek chase, this is where we encounter our first architect, if you haven't died yet, of course. As we all know, it's known as Guiding Light, a helpful being that wants to keep us alive and shows us exactly where to go when we need a sense of direction the most. And this nice little light is actually way more powerful than we think than when we're first met with it. You see, there's an item that you can find in the game called a crucifix, and just as the name states, it is a crucifix, and it allows you to banish enemies that are weak to it, but only stun those who can resist it. The funny part is, this item would be actually completely useless if the guiding light was absent from the game. When we use a crucifix on something, it stops it in its tracks and then is bound by 4 blue chains with sigils below it. And at first glance, you might think to yourself, wow, that's a really cool animation, and well, that's what I thought too. But upon further inspection, the community identified what seems at first like a bunch of random hieroglyphics, but it's actually text within the inner circle of the sigil in a font called WingDings, and when translated reads, "One of the 3 architects marked by Celestials assists you." Now, to be clear, we still don't know what architect means in this context. All we can do is go off of what the word literally means, which is one who designs buildings, and in this we are led to assume the 3 architects are what likely built or designed this hotel, but we still don't even know for sure. But anyways, back to the crucifix. What this tells us is that the guiding light seems to be able to channel or focus its power through the crucifix, and in doing so is able to temporarily remove an instance of an entity from our space. This idea that the crucifix is a means to channel its power is further proven when we enter the rooms, a subfloor of the hotel that the guiding light is not present in. When we hover over it in our hotbar, we get a message that reads, "The crucifix feels lighter than normal," and it does not work against entities that are present within the subfloor. So if guiding light is one of the 3 architects, who are the other 2? This is where the back doors of the hotel becomes important. You see, the hotel has a sort of basement, at least that's what it looks like, and in which there are 4 entities: Haste, Blitz, Lookman, and the Vacuum, with the Vacuum not really being an entity. It's just like a door that leads to a vacuum of empty space and kills you. And it is the second architect, Curious Light, that prevents these things from slipping out of the back doors and into the hotel. It's important to note that Curious Light describes this area as forgotten. This light isn't as helpful as Guiding Light though, as instead of telling you how to avoid something you died to directly, it instead says things like, "You should really know how to handle this," or "This shouldn't be too hard to figure out," almost as if it's testing us. It should be noted that the Curious Light is also present in the rooms as well. What's interesting about this architect is that it seems to have drinks or potions in association to it, with them being vial, bottle, and barrel of starlight. These drinks may heal you, give you a temporary overshield, and a speed boost on consumption. What's even more intriguing though is that in one of its death messages, it gives us a direct pronoun when referencing someone. When dying to Blitz, Curious Light says, "She said to call that one Blitz." And while this is very intriguing, we still have no idea who the she character could be. So we have Guiding Light and Curious Light, but who's the last architect? To start this conversation off, we're just gonna fast forward to the Seek chase in the mines. Here, it is easier to see these splashes of red light across the caves during the chase sequence. But it's easy to dismiss this as dramatic effects, but this red light is consistent throughout almost every appearance of Seek in the game. Both of the Seek chases in the hotel, the first Seek chase in the mines, and Damn Seek on door 200. And in this final boss sequence for Seek, you can see the red light appear just before Seek attacks that same spot. Now, this could be also dismissed as a game mechanic to warn you about where it's about to attack, but what's interesting here is that if you have any modifier enabled and try to access the rooms, a red barrier stops you from entering, with triangular shapes on the barrier that resemble what lingers around Curious and Guiding Light's rift. What proves the red light being the third architect even further is the painting on the wall in the same room, having the modifier symbol on the bottom left, Curious Light in the middle, and for whatever reason the symbol is really large, and Guiding Light in the top right. It should be noted that this painting changes based on if you have modifiers enabled or not, making the symbols more visible if you do. There are also 3 chairs in the center of this room facing each other's backs in a circle, which makes me think that perhaps these architects were once physical beings that would once consult with one another. The unofficial name for this red light is Mischievous Light, with the name being taken from a Tower Defense Heroes X Doors collaboration, but we don't actually know if that's this name or not, and its appearance so far in the game is non-canon. Though we see this red light seemingly help Seek constantly throughout the game. So what is Seek's real goal in the end of all of this? We haven't spoken a lot about Figure, and that's really because he doesn't seem to be directly related to what's happening, at least not with what we know currently. He just seems to be a monster that is hungry and needs food, and with a bunch of humans and gloombats to stalk, he's not going to want to leave the hotel or the mines anytime soon. Though, this does beg the question of where he even originates from, but that's another question that we are still nowhere near answering. From what we can observe, it does seem like it sheds its skin on occasion. There's obviously other things that can be told about this creature, but it's all unimportant really. But onto something a little more interesting. The mines are located under the hotel, obviously, but it's what's inside that's really intriguing. What emerges from the darkness in front of you almost immediately after the Seek chase is a grumble, but not just any grumble, it's the queen of them all. Funnily enough, running into the queen in the nest instantly kills you, as opposed to any other grumble, which typically takes 2 hits to kill. It's not certain, but it's assumed that giggles do come from grumbles, considering that's what they mature into, and in the nest you'll come to find piles of ink-covered discarded giggles around the area, and upon seeing this you'll quickly come to the conclusion of, oh, these are dead screeches, and you'd be 100% correct. These are giggles that Seek transformed into screeches, but clearly these must have been failed conversions. I do want to add in here that it seems no one has come to realize that Seek's ink or goo, whatever you want to call it, literally gives other things anti-gravity properties, allowing objects or entities to levitate off the ground. I mean, seriously, I couldn't even find it anywhere on the wiki, like no one's mentioned this. And we can see this with a screech, a corrupted giggle that levitates in our blind spots before attempting to attack us, as opposed to a giggle that has to latch itself onto a ceiling in order to get that same effect. So to summarize, Seek can levitate or possibly naturally fly, can corrupt things to take on its will, even though it seems to take multiple attempts to do this, as seen with the dead piles of screeches, can transform into anything it wants, and has eyes everywhere in the hotel and the mine, so it can see everything and is up to date at all times on what's happening around it in a very large radius. Like, very large. So we know what Zeke is capable of, but what are his motives and what is it trying to do? Well, we simply don't know. All we can confirm is that it's a thing trying to kill us and prevent us from doing something. Maybe reaching the end, escaping this weird space we're in. Oh yeah, I want to put this in here because I couldn't fit it into the last section, but have you guys seen A1000 after the Floor 2 update? Because it looks really cool now. I mean, just look at what we're surrounded by. Everything just looks so weird and ethereal, and you can even hear like distorted church bells in the background. Take a listen. It almost seems like some sort of purgatory. Maybe that's what this whole place is. There's still just so many questions, but that's also part of the reason why I'm talking about this. There's just so many unknowns. And with the next floor being the castle, maybe we can start seeing some answers. Okay, so this is the end of the video. If any of you watched the whole video from beginning to end and like really liked it, thank you so much. Like, that's just like crazy. I honestly was only motivated to make this video after, well, kind of putting out like poop in terms of like videos, especially with like the last one with the Curious Light one. That one was like, I was not proud of that one, so yeah, that video was like not the best. But I watched I don't know how to pronounce his channel name, like Daiorg, his video on like a full doors analysis, and that was like really cool. I was like very motivated by watching that, like his editing, like everything, like it was just so sick. And to be honest, before making this video, I honestly had no idea I was even capable of doing the sorts of motion graphics that I was doing in the video. Like this video was like a really big test as to what I could actually do inside of Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the editing software I use, and it was honestly like really sick. My favorite part of the video was when I was talking about the WingDings inside the crucifix sigil, and I took like a picture of the WingDings off the wiki and then added like a 3D effect to match it in the game and then cross-faded it out. Like that was like low-key, like when I watched it back and saw that, I was like, wait, hold on, I'm actually like cooking something here. And then that was kind of motivation for me to finish the video. This was not meant to be like a lore revelation video. This is basically just like a recap of what we know, just because I see a lot of theory videos out there about like people saying, yo, what if this, yo, what if that, but it's like not even true. So like I did like a really quick, I did like a summary of what we actually know, like for sure, like that's been confirmed in the game. Not all of it's confirmed, but like, you know, but yeah, if you guys watched the whole video and liked it, thank you so much. Please subscribe. I do want to make more videos in the future like this. Well, maybe not like this. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, this video took me like 5 days to edit, and it was only like 10 minutes. So, you know, you might get this type of video like one time every 2 months. I don't even know. I'm not trying to Corey Kenshin my stuff right now, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, thank you guys so much once again, and I will see y'all once I decide to upload again.